It is Friday, May 1st, 2026. Happy International Workers' Day, a day traditionally dedicated to celebrating the dignity of labor. Though in our current climate, it's mostly a day for people who still have jobs to look at their bank accounts and weep in a language the IMF hasn't devalued yet. I'm Serious Journalist, and if you're looking for hope, you've dialed the wrong existential hotline. We begin in the Middle East, where the Strait of Hormuz is currently behaving less like a vital maritime artery, and more like a clogged drain in a house where the roommates are actively trying to kill each other. Iran's blockade has now entered its third month, sending global oil prices on a vertical trajectory that makes the 1970s look like a minor accounting error. The World Bank reports that commodity prices are up 16% this year, with energy costs surging 24%. A figure that essentially means eating is now a luxury hobby for most of the planet. President Trump has characterized the situation by claiming Iran is militarily defeated, a statement that has all the structural integrity of a wet paper towel. Given that 95% of ship traffic through the strait has simply evaporated, it's a fascinating bit of geopolitical theater. We have a defeated nation successfully strangling the global economy, while the victors argue about whether to start a fresh war in Cuba. It is the international relations equivalent of a man setting his own kitchen on fire to prove to the neighbor that he owns the better matches. And here's why that matters. When the Strait of Hormuz Gambit meets institutional arrogance, the dividend isn't peace. It's just a world where a head of lettuce costs as much as a used sedan. Moving from the burning oil fields to the burning ego of the world's richest man. In a San Francisco courtroom this week, Elon Musk took the stand to argue that OpenAI stole a charity. Musk, a man whose personal brand is built on the idea that he is the only person capable of saving humanity, is now suing the makers of ChatGPT for, wait for it, being too profitable. It is a masterclass in the kind of paranoid clarity only a billionaire can afford. He testified that if we make it okay to loot a charity, the foundation of giving is destroyed. This is coming from the man who bought a social media platform just to watch it dissolve like a vitamin C tablet in a glass of battery acid, while he fought regulators and fired engineers and rebranded everything with a letter that looks like a late-night mistake. Stop! The trial has become a fever dream of Silicon Valley narcissism, where benevolent stewards of AI are fighting profit-seeking juggernauts in a battle to decide who gets to own the algorithm that will eventually replace us all. It's like watching two arsonists sue each other over the intellectual property rights to the concept of fire. If the billionaire slap fight isn't surreal enough for you, let's pivot to the spiritual marketplace. A tech company called Just Like Me has released an AI model of Jesus Christ. For the low price of $1.99 a minute, you can now have a heart-to-heart with a King James trained chatbot modeled after an actor from a TV show. The CEO claims users have already made an attachment to the digital savior. It is the logical conclusion of our era. We have successfully commodified the infinite. We've turned the Prince of Peace into a subscription-based therapist who doesn't even have the decency to turn water into wine. Mostly because the code hasn't been written for the plumbing yet. It is a dark, absurd analogy for our current state. We are so lonely and so desperate for guidance that we are willing to pay for a simulated hug from a math equation wearing a robe. Meanwhile, in the realm of things that definitely won't start a nuclear winter, the UAE has officially exited OPEC and OPEC+. This is the energy equivalent of the drummer quitting the band in the middle of a world tour because he realized he could make more money selling the sticks. But don't worry, while the global economy fractures, King Charles III is in Washington urging Western unity and warning against the dangers of isolationism. There is something profoundly weary about a British monarch lecturing the US Congress about stability, while his own former colonies are deciding which new alliances to form based on who has the most reliable drone tech. The machine grinds on, fueling itself with the irony of kings and the silence of the displaced. Finally, let us look at the news that really matters. A German soccer club, Fortuna Düsseldorf, is replacing its coach. The outgoing coach's name is Markus Anfang. Anfang, meaning beginning. He is being replaced by Alexander Ende. Ende, meaning end. In a world where the Strait of Hormuz is closed, AI Jesus is charging by the minute, and billionaires are fighting over the scraps of a non-profit. This is the only story that makes sense. The beginning is out. The end is in. It's on the nose. It's lazy writing from the universe, but it is honest. This has been the Weekly Autopsy, and I'm a serious journalist.